It's time for story time. We are going to read the book Little Red Riding Hood, and it is illustrated by Ed Bryan.
Little Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf. Once upon a time, there was a kind and helpful girl named Little Red Riding Hood. She lived with her mother in a cottage at the edge of a forest. One morning, Little Red Riding Hood's mother said, "Oh, Little Red Riding Hood, your grandmother isn't feeling well. Would you please take her a basket of food?"
Hi, Mom. What's going on? Hi, honey. Your grandma's not feeling well, so I was thinking we could pack a basket and you could send her, take a little basket to her. Here's an apple to start. That sounds like a great idea, Mom.
Soon the basket was packed and Little Red Riding Hood was ready to go.
If you were going to take a picnic basket to somebody that you love, what would you put in it? Miss Becky has a picnic basket right here. Let's see what she put in. Well, the first thing that I would put in would be a couple of cups so that I could drink if I got thirsty. And then, of course, I would need a couple of plates to put my food on. What kind of fruits do you like? What would you put in your picnic basket? Miss Becky put a banana. I love bananas. And she put an orange. It's a nice cold orange. I love cold oranges. And then for lunch, I would probably bring a piece of chicken and a slice of pizza, because Miss Becky loves pizza. So that's what I would put in. Why don't you tell your mom or your dad or your grandparents, what would you put in your basket?
As Little Red Riding Hood was leaving, her mother gave her a warning. "Be careful in the forest and beware of the big bad wolf," she said. And Little Red Riding Hood went on her way.
Well, your basket's all ready, but be careful of the big bad wolf. Okay, Mom, I will. Love you. Tell Grandma I said hi.
She had not gone very far before the big bad wolf appeared. "Hello, little girl," said the wolf. "Where are you going?" "Oh, just to my grandmother's with the basket of food," said Little Red Riding Hood, and off she went.
Well, here's Little Red Riding Hood, and she is walking through the forest. And who should she meet but me, the big bad wolf? Where are you going today? I'm going to visit my grandmother. Excuse me.
Little Red Riding Hood soon came to a clearing in the forest filled with flowers. "How pretty," said the Little Red Riding Hood. She knew that her grandmother loved daisies, so she picked some and put them in her basket. Then she continued on her way. Little Red Riding Hood skipped through the forest until she came to a big oak tree. "Oh, look," she said, "what lovely acorns. I'll put some in my basket. You never know when they might come in handy." With the flowers and the acorns in her basket, Little Red Riding Hood continued on her way. Little Red Riding Hood wandered along, and by she came across a bear with a huge pot of honey. "Hello," said the bear. "Can you help me put this honey into my jars? You can take a jar with you if you do." So Little Red Riding Hood stopped to help the bear. Then, with the flowers, the acorns, and the honey in her basket, Little Red Riding Hood skipped off through the trees.
Well, I've just picked some daisies, and I found some acorns, and I put them also in my basket. I'm very excited about it. Excuse me. Oh, hello. Hi, could you help me collect some honey? I would give you some to take with you. Sure I will. Thanks so much.
Finally, Little Red Riding Hood arrived at her grandmother's house. "Hello, Grandma," she called. "I'm here with a basket full of nice things." "I'm in bed, my dear," called a voice through the door.
Grandma, are you in there? Grandma.
It was quite dark inside the cottage, but Little Red Riding Hood thought her grandmother looked a bit different. "Oh, Grandma, what big ears you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to hear you with, my dear," came the reply. "Oh, Grandma, what big eyes you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to see you with, my dear," came the reply. "Oh, Grandma, what big teeth you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to eat you with, my dear," said the big bad wolf. He had been disguised as Grandma all along, and with that the wolf jumped out of the bed and chased Little Red Riding Hood around the room.
Grandma, what big ears you have. The better to hear you with, my dear. And Grandma, what big eyes you have. The better to see you with, my dear. And Grandma, what big teeth you have. The better to eat you with.
Quickly, Little Red Riding Hood reached into her basket. She took out the flowers and waved them under the wolf's nose. The wolf, achoo, sneezed and sneezed and sneezed. But that didn't stop him for long. So Little Red Riding Hood reached into her basket again. She pulled out the acorns and threw them on the floor. The wolf skidded and slipped and skated all over. But that didn't stop him either. So Little Red Riding Hood reached into her basket for the last time. She took out the jar of honey and threw it all over the big bad wolf. "Yuck! I'm covered in sticky honey," yelped the wolf. "Just you wait and see what happens next," said Little Red Riding Hood. The sticky honey smelled so delicious that a swarm of bees flew in through the window and chased the wolf out the door. The big bad wolf ran down the road and was never, ever seen again.
Well, here are some daisies. Sniffy, sniff, sniff, sniff. Ah-choo! 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 And here are some acorns. Whoa, 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 very trippy. And here is some honey. Oh, it's so sticky and yucky. Bzzz. What's that noise? Bzzz. Ah!
As soon as the big bad wolf was gone, Little Red Riding Hood unlocked the cupboard, and out jumped Grandma.
Well, that's the end of that wolf. Grandma, are you in the closet? Grandma! Hello, my dear. I'm so glad to see you. You rescued me. You know I'm not feeling well today. I know. Mama and I made you a delicious picnic lunch. Well, let's sit down and enjoy it, shall we? You bet. Love you, Grandma.
Little Red Riding Hood laid out the delicious food from her basket. Then she and her grandmother had a wonderful feast, and they both lived happily ever after.
Well, I hoped you liked our story today. Miss Becky has had this puppet for a very long time. I think ever since I was a little girl. And you can see one side is Little Red Riding Hood, and when you turn it over, one side is the grandma. And watch this, when you turn grandma around and you lift her hat up, there is the big bad wolf. So I can tell this story really, if I wanted to, with just this puppet. I think that's a really neat thing. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next week.